Hello everybody and welcome to the Whiskey Dictionary. Today I'm going to be talking to you about Blantons. And if you don't know this bottle by look or by reputation, or hopefully by taste, this is a bourbon. It is a single barrel bourbon and it is exquisite. It is delicious. It is fantastic. It does not beg the question of is it good like most of the whiskeys that I review on this channel. It's just is, right? So if you have a chance to buy this, just go buy it. That all being said, I wouldn't be doing my due diligence here if I didn't teach you a little something. So, Blanton's used to be called just Blanton Single Barrel Bourbon. Most people just call it Blanton's now. And, Blanton's calls it the Blanton's Original Single Barrel Bourbon Whiskey. And the name kind of comes from, as most of you know, single barrel whiskeys are a single barrel that they put into a bottle. It's a very cryptic name, I know. But the cool thing about single barrel whiskeys is oftentimes there's going to be information on the label, and this one's no different. So I could tell, for example, this was dumped out of a barrel on November 5th, 2018, and it was from barrel number 2268 in Warehouse H, which that is something else we'll get to, and a bunch of other stuff. So this 93 proof. Now, by doing a single barrel, there's a little bit more that you need to learn, you need to kind of pay attention to. A master distiller or head distiller or whoever's running the show there needs to make sure that all of this whiskey came from a single barrel. And because of that, there's more oversight, costs a little bit more. Oh well. Either way, when I talked about Elmer T. Lee in one of my previous episodes, which link up there, I kind of explained where the name Blanton's came from. There's a guy was a guy named Colonel Albert B. Blanton, and he worked at what is now the Buffalo Trace Distillery for about 55 years. And because of that, they named the bottle after him. So it's a bit of an homage. Now, Blanton's has 4 different expressions. They have the original, which, like I said, very good, very, very good. They also have the gold, the straight from the barrel, and the reserve. Now, all 3 of those are available outside of the United States, which is kind of BS because it's a bourbon, at least offer them to some degree here. But maybe someday I'll get my hands on them. I would certainly love to try them. The cool thing to know, and this is as good a time as any, is that on some of those other bottles, the little horse on top here is actually a different color. So for example, on the gold, it's more of a gold color. Now, hopefully this new camera can actually pick this up. There is a little letter A on the bottom back hoof there. And each bottle of Blanton's comes with a different rider on top, and there's 8 different styles. There's one that is essentially the horse at the starting gate, and then it goes all the way through the race essentially till the last where it's crossing the finish line. And it's just a cool little collectible thing. Now that kind of brings me to a funny story. So most of you are going to know Chad and Sarah from It's Bourbon Night. They got engaged, a little while ago. It's no secret. They announced it on Instagram and everything. But when they announced this, I wrote them an email. I just said, hey guys, I'd love to get you some sort of a gift. Just, congratulations, whatever. So they gave me their address and everything. And I sent them what Blanton's has for a collector's item. So basically you can take a bottle of Blanton's, and I'll put up a picture of it because it might be hard to describe, but there's like a semicircle around it that has these 8 little spots for all of the riders. And then I think there's even a space for 2 little glasses. So I bought this thing and I sent it to them, and weeks went by and I never really heard anything back. And I thought that was very strange because I talked to Chad and Sarah. They're nice people, obviously courteous. That wouldn't be something that they wouldn't just write an email back and be like, oh, thanks, Bill. That would have been weird, right? So I ended up talking to Chad 3 weeks later for a completely unrelated reason. And I figured I'd bring it up. And I was just like, hey, by the way, did you ever get that Blanton's thing? And he's like, oh, that was you? So turns out they didn't know my last name. And not a huge surprise. I don't think I've ever said it on the channel. But at the exact same time, YouTube had actually unsubscribed me from their channel. If you guys remember, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, there was this little thing where a bunch of channels got unsubscribed from, or a bunch of people got unsubscribed from a bunch of channels that they subscribe to. Something that YouTube does from time to time just to make sure that numbers are true and get rid of bots and blah, blah, blah. That being said, it's weird because I watch their stuff. So I don't know why I got removed, but because of that, I didn't see any of their live streams where the thing was front and center. And clearly I would have known. So I don't know. The whole situation was just kind of funny, but when they found out it was me, of course, they said thank you and everything. So anyway, that was my little Blanton story. So back to the whiskey. Blanton's is aged between 6 and 8 years, and usually when you have anything, in my opinion, over like over 6 years, you're going to get more of an oaky taste, and this is true with this. So why don't we kind of go into the nosing and the tasting? And while I'm kind of nosing this, I have another little story. So, all right, let's go ahead and nose. So Blanton's is aged in a warehouse called Warehouse H. And Warehouse H is known because it has metal walls. Now, metal walls are going to be conducive for transference of heat, which means that the barrels inside are going to heat up and cool down faster. Makes sense, right? But that expedites aging, and in general usually gives even more of an oaky flavor or oaky nose to this. It's also known because it's just kind of a place that historically the best bottles have always come from. So anyway, on the nose here, I'm going to give it another one. So the first thing that I get when I nose this is just kind of this like creamy, silky, like caramel, butterscotch. It's a typical bourbon flavor, but it's extremely well balanced, and it smells delicious. There is also obviously some oakiness to that, and I'd say that kind of follows right after. But there's more to it as well. There's a citrusy, orangey kind of nose to this, and even some cloves. It's kind of a lot going on here. Lastly, I actually didn't have this in my notes here, but I picked it up a minute ago when I was talking. It's kind of like a nutmeg smell in there as well. So once again, tons of stuff going on here. So, bourbons can be complex. All right, let's go ahead and give this a taste. Cheers. Well, there's a reason that this bottle's about half gone already, and I just bought it in November. Now, you would think a guy in my position would probably plow through whiskey, but it's exactly the opposite. I tend to drink whiskey extremely slowly because there's a lot of bottles. That being said, this one's about half gone. There's also a little piece of cork in there. As far as the taste goes, you've got kind of a heavy vibe with oak. Those are prominent. Then you've got that orange citrus is coming through as well, kind of balancing very well with the oak, to the point where the oak is not, you can taste a little bit of the tannins, but it's not like the Booker's 30th that I did earlier this week. It's more well balanced. So you got vanilla, citrus, oak, just a general sweetness. I'm gonna give it one more shot. Maybe a little bit of cinnamon in there as well. Very, very much bourbony, for lack of a better term, but the nose takes this one over the top for me. The taste is extremely well balanced, and that makes it just speak volumes, to the point where, let's even take like a Larceny, something cheaper that I do enjoy. It's not nearly as well balanced. This just flows over the tongue, and it's delicious from start to finish. So, all right. Overall, I think it's, clearly I hate this. As I already said, it's delicious. I can't remember the last time I had a whiskey that was so definitively just a buy it, right? I mean, you could stock it if you can get your hands on it, and that's the problem. Blanton's, I almost said Booker's. Blanton's is hard to find, and it's not impossible to find. It's just hard to find. My suggestion for you is, if there's a liquor store that you tend to frequent that maybe has a decent selection, ask them if you can't find them, if they have any in the back or whatever, because they tend to fly off the shelves. People see them and then they buy them. Most places have like a limit of 1, but if they don't, people absolutely, they come in a package of 6. People would absolutely buy all 6. So ask and see what you get. If not, explore a little bit, go to some places that maybe are a little out of the way. They might very well have a bottle of it. The Wegmans near me has like 7 of them, and they continuously restock. So, I mean, they're totally out there. That being said, it's also $60, and it is an awesome dram to introduce people to bourbon. Not because it's, simple or a good starter, but it's delicious. People are going to taste this, they're going to love it, and you're going to be a hit. So that does it for this episode of the Whiskey Dictionary. So thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Cheers. All right, so you might have noticed that my audio and my video are a lot better than the one earlier this week, so I'm sorry about that. Long story short, if you watched the live stream last night, you probably already learned about this, but I was being an idiot and totally screwed up the camera, had the mic on, and blah, blah, blah. That's why it was so terrible. But what I wanted to tell you guys is, in case you haven't seen it, I sell these coins. These are challenge coins. I get a lot of people asking me just like what they even are when they see it on the glass. So I thought I would just let you know. So these are kind of like poker chips. Yeah, so you can kind of hear it. They're kind of like poker chips. They're 49 millimeters wide, and they go right on top of the Glencairn. The whole point is, I mean, honestly, the point is a tangible way for you to help support my channel and, you know, actually get something in return. But what it does for the glass is it actually keeps the aroma and everything inside. So instead of allowing the alcohol to evaporate very, very quickly, it doesn't. It's obviously not airtight, but it does help. So you'll often see me with these on my glasses at the beginning of a episode. If you are interested in buying them, they're $10 a piece, and shipping in the US is $3.50. Shipping to to Canada and I think Mexico is $10, and most other places in the world is $14. If you buy more than one of them, shipping remains the same, but you know, if you're buying a lot of them, we'll talk. But if you buy 3, it'd be like $30 plus $3.50 shipping. So I don't have a ton of these left, and I'm looking very forward to batch number 2, which is part of the reason I'm pushing these a little bit. I would love to sell a few more. So let me know if you're interested. You can send me an email at thewhiskeydick@gmail.com, and I'll talk to you soon. Cheers.